When the earth trembles, when waters rise, when houses collapse, and lives are changed forever, an entire country turns to its most powerful symbols. In Spain, these symbols have a name, a face, and a duty. The royal family, led by King Felipe VI, Queen Letizia, and Princess Leonor, visited in person one of the areas hardest hit by the devastating floods that ravage the southeast of the country. The setting is apocalyptic. Collapsed roads, washed away bridges, houses engulfed by torrents of mud. This is no longer simply a natural disaster, it is a human tragedy. In the devastated province of Murcia, hundreds of families lost everything. Their past, their homes, their memories, swept away by a flood of unprecedented violence. Faced with this distress, the King of Spain decided not to remain confined within the gilded palace. He arrived, wearing boots and a sober jacket, surrounded by a small team. At his side, Queen Letizia, visibly distraught, did not hide her emotion. And for the first time on an emergency mission in the field, Princess Leonor, the future sovereign, who had until then participated in formal or symbolic events, found herself confronted with one of the harshest realities of her future role, accompanying her people in their grief. King Felipe VI didn't deliver a pompous speech. He preferred to listen. He paused for a long time next to a father who had just lost his home. He placed his hand on the shoulder of a weeping old woman. In these simple gestures, there was a formidable force, a clear message: you are not alone. Queen Letizia, for her part, turned to children, often the most traumatized by such disasters. She was seen crouching down to speak at eye level with a little girl curled up on a survival blanket. These images, captured by discreet cameras, were seen across the country. They weren't staged. There were no flashbulbs, no red carpet. Just the naked truth, and a monarchy as close as possible to those who suffer. But it was Leonor's presence that shook public opinion. At just 19, the young princess found herself in the mud, amidst the ruins, surrounded by gazes filled with hope and distress. She didn't run away. She walked through puddles, shook trembling hands, and spoke with disarming sincerity to teenagers her own age who had lost everything. One boy told her he didn't want to go back to school because he no longer had shoes or a school bag. She replied, "You can come to school with me, if you want." This sentence, captured by a local journalist, went viral. Emotions quickly spread across social media. Thousands of Spaniards praised the courage and dignity of their royal family. Some skeptics even admitted to being deeply moved. This wasn't a PR stunt. It wasn't a whirlwind visit surrounded by barriers. It was an act of presence, a real immersion into the suffering of a people. And for many, it restored meaning to an institution that is sometimes criticized. This disaster highlighted another reality: Spain's vulnerability to climate change. This isn't the first time torrential rains have wreaked havoc in the region. But this time, the scale is unprecedented. Experts are talking about a meteorological phenomenon aggravated by global warming. And in this context, the royal family's mobilization takes on particular meaning. For it doesn't just ease immediate pain. It also raises questions, challenges, and calls for action. King Felipe also took the time to speak with local authorities, firefighters, and soldiers from the Unidad Militar de Emergencias. He listened to their stories, their calls for more prevention, more resources, more coordination. He didn't make empty promises. But he took note. And the Spanish know that when he makes a commitment, it's never taken lightly. In a small village where water had reached up to 2 meters high, Queen Letizia stopped at a school converted into an emergency reception center. She spoke at length with teachers, Red Cross volunteers, and doctors. She took the time to understand, to feel. Some witnesses reported that she discreetly wiped away a tear upon seeing children's drawings of their homes washed away by the water. It is these human, fragile moments that give the Spanish monarchy its contemporary dimension. Far from the pomp, the crowns and the scepters, there is this sincere closeness to the people. Leonor's presence, however, marks a turning point. It's a rite of passage, a baptism of reality. She has emerged from the fixed image of the smiling heiress to become an active, present, and concerned figure. Some columnists did not hesitate to compare her attitude to that of Princess Diana in hospitals or war zones. There was a gentleness, a spontaneity, a rare humanity in her gestures. And it is undoubtedly no coincidence that the Spanish nicknamed her on social media, La Esperanza, or Hope. The royal mobilization did not stop with this visit. Upon their return to Madrid, Felipe and Letizia convened a crisis meeting at the Zarzuela Palace, bringing together the main officials responsible for relief efforts and infrastructure. They requested a detailed report, concrete solutions, and an ambitious reconstruction plan. They also proposed that the upcoming national holidays be dedicated to the memory of the victims and the resilience of the survivors. But this report would not be complete without mentioning the psychological impact of this tragedy. In the faces of the survivors, there is a mixture of terror, fatigue, and hope. And it is precisely the latter that the royal family has come to rekindle. A presence, a look, an outstretched hand can make all the difference. For in such moments, the state is often perceived as distant, technocratic. Royalty, on the other hand, can be physical, embodied, immediate. Critics persist, of course. Some accuse the monarchy of being an unnecessary luxury, others see it as a media exploit. But faced with the obvious sincerity of the gestures, the Queen's misty gaze, the King's dignity, and Leonor's committed freshness, the controversies fade. What remains is the image of an institution that, in the darkest moments, knows how to become light again. In the coming weeks, Spaniards will rebuild their lives, their homes, their streets. But they will not forget that day when their royal family came, without fanfare, without speeches, with their hearts. And that memory is sometimes worth more than 1,000 laws or 1,000 promises. It seals a bond, it forges a shared destiny. So, at a time when the planet trembles under the blows of the climate, at a time when nations are seeking guidance, what more can we expect from those who wear the crown?